But we are happy to be here. We've got some things we want to share with you. As Don said, we're not trying to scare folks, but we do want you to be aware and understand the environments that you're working in. But being up in this part of the country is new for me and Josh, but I tell you, it's not unfamiliar territory. My dad worked in the fertilizer business for basically 50 years for folks like Kerr-McGee and Agrico. And I come from a small community of about 6,000, where farming is very much a part of life down there. So we enjoy being up here, appreciate the opportunity to come. Now, what we're going to share with you today is based around this presentation you see up here called Assumed Breach. There's a statement right above it that's very, very important. It says, absolute cybersecurity is not achievable. Now that might sound strange coming from a company that specializes in cybersecurity and cyber risk management. But the point is, what we want to get across to you today is that when you connect to the internet, whether as an individual or as a business, you're entering an environment that literally goes around the world. And everybody, good or bad, that has a computer, has the ability to connect to the internet, is now in your neighborhood. And some of those folks are really, really good at what they do, on the not so good side. So what we want to make sure is that you understand how they operate. How do cyber criminals operate in this space? And how do they take advantage of the things that you're doing? And so that you're better prepared to deal with that. Again, we're not going to stop any individual or a business from ever having a breach. But there are ways that you can minimize that, and there are ways that you can detect when it happens so that you can get them out before the damage is done. Throughout this presentation, I'd recommend that you keep in mind the same mindset that you have for your home security. And maybe some of you, beyond just having doors that have locks and windows that have locks, maybe you have a home security system. Okay? If you think about it, that home security system is not designed to prevent break-ins. Now, I've got a home security system. It's never stopped anybody from coming in. But the idea is that it's going to detect that break-in as soon as possible. It's going to set off alarms so someone can respond, and hopefully, we can get the bad guys out of there. Cybersecurity today, you have to think about it the same way, except that you're going to have a breach. How quickly can you detect it? How quickly can you get them out? Okay? So as Don mentioned, Josh and I work for Dynetics. We're out of Huntsville, Alabama. Have been in business for about 40 years. This just kind of give you an idea of the types of missions that we support. A lot of high value, high risk missions. Usually we're working in the Department of Defense or in the aerospace environment for folks like NASA. And what we've been able to do is learn a lot from that environment. And then we've started bringing some of that expertise in cybersecurity to bring out to more commercial entities. So we can do training events like this. But if you want to know more about Dynetics itself, you can find us at Dynetics.com. There's lots of information. I will warn you, it's a hardcore engineering company, and engineers like details, and there's lots of technical details out there. What we're going to try and do is strike a balance here to give you some understanding of the technology and all, but also put it in everyday terms that you can use at home. Now a little bit specifically on the background that we're bringing to this event, and particularly to Josh's expertise. One of the things you'll hear in this industry, people will talk about penetration testing or red teams. And red teams are folks who act like the bad guys in order to test security that's out there. So Dynetics has a lot of expertise in this area. I said we work for the Department of Defense. We actually support one of only 6 red teams that's authorized by NSA to test the defensive weapons system. Josh is participating on that. What that means is that they understand how the worst of the attackers, the worst of the cyber criminals, how they do their job. So sometimes they have to emulate being Chinese government hackers or Russian criminal syndicates. They understand how they operate. Unfortunately, they also think like those guys a little bit. So you have to be careful with Josh. Don't turn your back on him. So they are experts in criminal tactics and techniques. And what we do on a regular basis is test companies' IT security. And for a lot of those companies, they feel like they're secure. It's not like they don't have smart people who've been working in IT, they do. And they're doing a lot of really good things, and they feel comfortable with that. Until Josh comes by, and literally within a few hours, he's able to enter the network. And within a few days, he's able to go anywhere within that network. We're going to show you how he does that. So what we do is we, again, help raise the awareness of those businesses. Here's how cyber criminals are going to get in, and we show them the things that they can then do to make that less likely. So what we talk about is being a white hat. In the cyber world, you'll hear terms like black hats, that's the bad guys. And then there's the white hat, those folks like Josh. They act like the bad guys, but they're there to help. And then there's the guys that wear the gray hat, and sometimes we're not sure which side they're on. So today specifically, what we're going to demonstrate for you is what we call an adversarial simulation. Now, you'll also hear a term called penetration test, be very similar. We use this term because the term penetration testing has begun to be kind of blurry as to exactly what's happening there. So when we talk about an adversarial simulation, we're talking about a threat-faithful representation of how a cyber attack will occur. So that means that a cyber criminal doesn't know you. So they've got to go out and do some amount of surveillance or reconnaissance. They've got to find out what you do in your business, how you do it. And so they collect that information so they can develop an attack plan. How am I going to get into this specific environment? And then they want to stay in that environment. One of the things cyber criminals, they have all day. And one of the things you need to realize, I talked about being connected globally. Sometimes we forget, other countries, other cultures don't enjoy some of the benefits that we have here. So for some guys that wake up in the day, being able to make a $50, $100 might be a really good day. A couple of $1,000s in a year, they've had a good year. So if they can do that by breaking into your environment, it may not seem like a lot of value to you. It can be a lot of value to them, and that creates motivation. So they can be patient, and that's something else that Josh will demonstrate. And then they're hunting for valuable data. And that's where we wanted to bring up a point. So what is valuable to a cyber criminal? We hear all the time, a lot of folks say, well, I just don't really have anything of that much value, particularly if I'm a small business owner. Who would want to attack me? And I would say up until a couple of years ago, for the most part, that was probably true. If you look back 15 years ago, a lot of cyber attacks were a nuisance, people getting on websites, defacing them. What changed, though, was when cyber criminals found ways to make money off those attacks. They found people who wanted to buy what they were stealing. So you saw the break-ins at places like Target, Home Depot, lots of data, they sell it. Well, then a couple of years ago, you started hearing something called ransomware, which is a criminal just breaking into your environment and they're encrypting your data so that you can't even access it yourself. And then they hold it for ransom. You pay them, they unencrypt it, and you can get that data again. So think about the change. Now instead of a cyber criminal having to break into the network, steal your data, and go find somebody to buy it, you're the built-in customer. It doesn't even matter what the data is. It just doesn't have to be valuable to the cyber criminal. If it's valuable to you, it's valuable to the cyber criminal because they'll encrypt it, sell it right back to you. So that really brought cyber criminal activity to everybody's doorstep. And for those at home, you may think that the pictures you have on your computer or maybe the financial statement, your tax forms or something like that, aren't of that great of interest. But if they're important to you, what would you pay to get them back? What would you pay to get back pictures that maybe you only have on your desktop? Okay? So that's the kind of things that cyber criminals, they're looking for ways to find things that are valuable to you and take advantage of that. Now we won't be able to demonstrate everything that we would normally do in an adversarial simulation, but what we will do is give you a realistic depiction of what cyber criminals do and what you'll be able to see or not see happening on your own computer. Now Josh is here to bring that expertise. You see up here, Josh is an Offensive Security Certified Professional, or OSCP. I know that probably doesn't mean much to many of you here. You can go out and look on the internet and you can see the kind of credentials they are. In my terms every day, I talk about, Josh is an elite, ethical hacker. Okay? All three of those words have meaning. The hacker's kind of obvious. Okay? Elite, he's very good at what he does. And we really hope he's ethical. Okay? As a company, the ethics part really is important to us. Because when we work with a business, we're getting access to their most sensitive data because Josh is probably going to get in. So it's very important that we treat that data with care. We make sure we're not exposing it, unnecessarily. Our goal is to help them, not to harm them. So we take great pride in making sure that we're applying high ethics in our recruitment